Hey, it is the 18th today of March, Wednesday. Yeah, and yeah, it's been a while since I've done a video from out here in the chicken coop. But notice, no jacket. It's warm out here. It's like, I don't know, mid-40s or something. But yeah, like it's warm enough I had to turn the fan on because it was starting to smell kind of funky in here. So yeah, so I turned the fan on, and these guys are just nuts. But I think they're going through a lull and they're not laying their eggs like they usually do. We've only got 4 in there. Yeah, so they're slacking. But that's bound to happen. It does. It could do that every once in a while. I don't see a lot of feathers though, so it's not like they're going through a molt or anything yet, but I'm sure that'll happen soon. Yeah, so let's see what's been going on. Just a lot of stressful stuff, stressful stuff at work. Just stuff. So I did find an app. I was doing the Indie app, and for some reason it just was not clicking with me. Not that it's a bad app by any means, it just, for me, it just wasn't clicking. But I did find one. It's called let's see what it's called. Inflow, I think is what it's called. And you do have to pay for it, but it's a flexible payment. So I really liked the idea that, not that it was terribly expensive, but I liked the idea that it said that if you have a hard time or if you're struggling to pay for things, they will work with you. Because they said nobody should go without help just because of money. And that really struck me. And I love that. So I signed up for that tonight. Just kind of one of those things. I just happened upon it on Facebook, I think it was. I saw an ad for it. I'd seen the ad a few times, and I thought, what the heck? I'll just check it out. And I went through the little questionnaire thing that they always give you, and then, of course, you wait until you're at the end, and they tell you, oh my gosh, you have such horrible ADHD. We've got to fix you. That kind of thing. And, and then they tell you it's $75 a month. And you're like, no. But these guys, it was like 33 cents a day or something like that. I mean, that's not terrible. So I thought I can handle that. And so I just got in on it tonight, so we'll start it up tomorrow and see how it goes. Maybe I'll even start it tonight. We'll see. But I've been finding a lot of issues lately. There's been a lot of stress going on for me. This just seems like it's awfully close. Like I'm hello. But I wonder if I stand this on the. Oh, sorry. Let me set this on the window. See if that helps. That doesn't look so bad. Okay, so we'll do that. But what was I saying now? Oh yeah, so there's been a lot of stress going on at work. It's been kind of weird. It's been like one day it'll be crazy and the next day it'll be like nothing. You'd have your blizzard, and then the next day is like 40 degrees and everybody's coming out of the woodwork, and then the next day there's like nothing. And yeah, so it's just been weird. And I have found over the last several years that I've been there at Hearing Life that when I have a set schedule, when I have things that are like if I have a lot of tests that day and not a lot of services, I do okay with that. If I have a lot of services but no tests, I'm okay with that. But you throw in, I've got say a test at 9, a test at 10, 2 services at 11, all the walk-in stuff between 1 and 2, and then I have a fitting at 2, and then I have a test at 3, and then another fitting at 4. You know, when it's split up like that, and I have issues like, it's an issue. I find that if I have to kind of go on the fly like that, if I can't focus on one thing in particular, then I do tend to struggle with that a lot. I can do it. I did it for 8 years over at Sam's Club. You never knew what was going to be walking through the door the next minute, But I was able to do that because it was never as busy as it is over at Hearing Life. But when I am expected to do, go from testing to fitting to cleanings and adjustments and repairs, and then back to a test, and then back to a repair, and then to a fitting, and then to, my brain just kind of gets all scattered. And then as it gets scattered, I start to kind of almost panic. And it just, I get frazzled. I just, I get stressed. Whew, that was dusty. But, I get frazzled and panicked, and it's hard. It's hard to go back and forth like that. That's one of those things, like, I've got a friend of mine that does really well with that kind of stuff. And I'm like, how do you do that? That just blows me away, how she can do that. She was going, I think she was covering like 3 or 4 different clinics a week. It's like, how do you do that? I can't handle one clinic. How are you doing like 3 or 4 of them? And she said, that's what I do. I just prepare for the next day and this and that. And I'm like, damn, I couldn't do that. It's a challenge. It's a big challenge. I did ask if there was a way that I could do, because 90% of our stuff is appointments. So I did ask if there was a way I could do, like, one day is all tests, and the next day would be fittings and services, and the next day would be tests. Next day would be fitting and services, and the last day would be tests. Is there a way I can do that? And my boss said no, and he didn't see how that would make anything any better, but he doesn't have ADHD, he doesn't deal with it, so therefore he doesn't understand it. So that makes it tough, very tough. So I'm stuck trying to conform to something that does not work for me, but that's what I have to do. And that's, a lot of us are dealing with that, it's one of those things that when people are not typical, I don't want to say normal, typical, when people are not neurotypical, when you are neurodivergent, the world is not made for us. The world is made for neurotypical people. It's kind of like, apartment buildings have to be specially made for people who have physical handicaps or physical differences. People who are in a wheelchair or are blind or, different physical things. They have to have an elevator, or they have to have a specially designed apartment, to handle different things. Not that we would have to have a specially designed apartment or elevators or anything, but our differences are more how things run versus how things are built. But it's the same principle. One of the things I watched today with Jessica McCabe, she was talking about universal, I can't remember the term, but it was universal something. But it was basically that, like she gave the example of a curb on a sidewalk, and where they have the cutouts, or the little ramp going up through there. They put those in there for people who can't take that step up. Someone in a wheelchair. If you're by yourself, you know how hard that is. I can only imagine, because I'm not in a wheelchair, so I can't tell you how hard it is because I've never tried it. But getting yourself up on a curb without help, I mean, if it were me, I'd end up on my back easily. But you've got these different things, like that. Not only is it helpful for people. Ouch, that hurts. Stop it. Not only is it helpful for people in a wheelchair, but it's helpful for people that, like she said, carrying luggage or rolling luggage, or somebody walking a baby in a carriage, in a stroller, things like that. Someone who has bad depth perception and doesn't want to step up. Some of our elderly people. I watch them come walking across the parking lot and try to step up on the curb, and I'm just like, oh God, they're gonna fall. I mean, it's happened. It's happened. So, oh my God, that hurt, guys. Stop it. You can't eat my pants. So anyway, it's one of those things that the world is built for the typical, whether it's the physically typical or the neurotypical. It's not made for those of us that are a little different. And that's a shame, because we are extremely capable of doing things. I'm an extremely capable hearing specialist. I don't do fabulous when I'm switching from this mode to that mode to this mode to that mode. I don't do that well. But you put me on testing all day, or fitting all day, or services, I do fabulous for that stuff if I can just do that for the day, or even if I were to do half a day, mornings tests, afternoons services or fittings. I can do that. But nope, gotta have it certain ways, and that really frustrates me, because it feels like I'm not being taken seriously. One of the things that I've found through a lot of research is that a lot of times people will say, people say that, oh man, it just escaped my brain now. These guys bit my pants, and then my brain just went, it's gone. I don't even remember what I was going to say. Yeah, it's been a day. Actually, it's been a few weeks like this, and it's just gotten worse and worse. I sometimes think that, yeah, I'm tired. There's a song out there, and I forget which singer does it, but it's called Worn. And it's on the Christian station, and the words are, I'm tired, I'm worn, my heart is empty, my soul feels weak. It's a song that speaks to me. Anyway, yeah, so if you get a chance, check out that app that I was talking about that I can't remember the name of. Oh my goodness, my brain is shot tonight. If you can go back and listen to it, I probably would have it on there. If not, I will try to include it into the description. I'm going to try to put descriptions in now. So I'm learning little by little. I'm a little slow on the uptake on these, but I'm getting there. I am still getting closer and closer to doing the podcast. I just was trying to find time to do things, and yeah, so I'm getting there. I'm trying to get stuff set up now so that I can kind of line it up so that I have a few of them on hand ready to go, so that I can keep working ahead. You know, my first few I think are going to be insurance related or financial related, because those are the things that I come up against the most at work. Is I hear my patients talking about how much, you know, they don't get. You know, I live off of Social Security. Well, okay, so how much is your rent? My rent is twice my Social Security. And then how do you eat? How do you get your meds? I have to choose. Oh my God, you know, and now we expect you to, you know, to pay for all this other stuff too. You know, how does this happen? How does this work? Why is there insurance not covering certain things? Why? I mean, it's ridiculous. These are the things that they require, you know, in order to live. Teeth, vision, and hearing. Those are the 3 top things that people end up needing the most as they age. And what are the 3 things that Medicare does not cover? Vision, teeth, and hearing. I'm sorry, this is just freaking ridiculous, and it's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. I tell you what, my parents, if they need that stuff, they need it, and I'm going to help them with it. But I can't afford to help them with it either. Just like most other people can't afford to help their parents with it. But we're going to do it anyway because they need it. You know, what we need to do is we need to start fighting harder and harder and harder to see if we can't get this figured out, because this is ridiculous. You know, insurance doesn't do much for them. You know, a lot of the insurances will send them to a managed care plan. You know, managed care, you know, I think when it started, managed care was there to help people who couldn't afford to hear, help them hear. But the companies got greedy, and they started putting out less and less quality and raking in more and more money. They would get the people in, slap some crappy hearing aids in their ears, and send them out the door. Get the next one in, move it like a cattle call, and that is not acceptable. These people are coming in, most of them, for their first pair of hearing aids. They come in and they're like, you know, they come in to see me a year later or 4 years later or whenever, and they're like, I didn't know that I had buttons on the back of my hearing aids. I didn't know how to clean them. I didn't know that I could change the dome. I didn't know. Well, that's because they didn't give you any time to learn this stuff. And then you had to pay for everything that happened after that. You know, some of them you only get 3 visits and then you have to pay for everything after that. Some of them. What am I hearing? I don't know what I'm hearing. I'm hearing some kind of a weird... That was really strange. I'm sitting here and all of a sudden I'm hearing drilling. And I'm like, what am I hearing? Somehow there was video going in the background on here, and I honestly don't know if it had stopped recording and was doing that or what. So I was in the middle of a rant. So I'm just going to I'm going to calmly breathe, even though it smells like chicken in here. So anyway, I will talk to y'all later. You guys have a good evening, and yeah, go check out the app. I'm gonna put the link to it down below, and or at least the program. Just check it out, see what you think, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. I love you. Bye.